Everybody. This is Joseph Miranda, broker and owner, Miranda Executive Realty, here for our latest installment of Ask the Broker Elite Training. I'm actually very excited, or well, somewhat kind of excited about this training. As you know, we spend a lot of time working on tools, working on systems and processes, and just kind of having if this, then this type of mentality here, and really just wanting to be proactive. So today we're talking about the listing side of being proactive instead of reactive, and the ability to get in front of things when you start to have a listing. Before we get into that, just want to do some quick housekeeping here, our shameless plug. So this is for the agents of Miranda Executive Realty. If you have any friends or anybody that you think could benefit from these trainings, please feel free to share them with us, or please feel free to share this with them. Also, friendly reminder that I am a broker, real estate broker, not an attorney, not a financial advisor, not a doctor. The only thing that I am is a broker. So, and everything that I say is my opinion. It is not necessarily advice, and we advise you to seek proper counsel before making any decisions. And then questions, if you have any questions throughout the process, or throughout this meeting or training, please feel free, put them in the chat box to the side, or if you want to just take a note and you can ask at the end, whichever is easiest for you. So this being said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's training. So you got the client, now what, right? So, lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, those seem like maybe the hardest parts of a transaction. But I would say that the real work really starts once you get the contract, right? Whether it's a buyer and you get the buyer agreement, or it's a seller and you get the seller agreement. The real work is what actually, the real work to me starts then. Other than that, we're just kind of practicing, right? We're making some phone calls, we're doing some follow-up, preparing for listing appointments, different types of preparation. But the rubber really hits the road when you get the listing, right? When you get that first contract, the exclusive right to sale listing agreement. So, today what we're going to talk about are, getting the client, right? But helping the client, and really most importantly, protecting and making sure that you can get this client over the finish line. So let's talk about the listing appointment, right? So if you spend any time in agent resources, and I'm not sure the exact path to get you there, but you're going to find some documents in there on the listing side. I believe for listing, there's 3 documents. Right, one of them is, well, let me do a cheat here. The home seller's guide. The home seller's guide is meant to, as a guide to give to the home seller. You can email them a copy of this. You can print it out. We're actually working on getting these added to our iStore, so that then you can order them and they'll be, professional look, professionally bound. But this is, and all of these are editable, by the way. So, they're all editable through Canva. You can go in, you can add your own name, you can put your own brand on them. You can go in and completely change anything that you want to change inside there. They're 100% make them your own. It doesn't have to have, our phone number all over it. It can have your phone number. It can have your image. It can have all of your stuff on there. So I would encourage going in there. Home Seller's Guide is meant to make your life easier when you get to the listing presentation, right? The Home Seller's Guide is meant to really guide the homeowner on how they should prepare the house, right? And it's really going to have even some of the more tough conversations with the seller before you need to, right? It's going to have the conversations about price. Right here, preparation, right? What's that smell? That's one of the hardest things for me in a listing agreement or in a listing appointment, I should say, to bring up or discuss is the smell of a house. Smell matters, right? But this document here or this booklet here is really designed to help you to have that tough conversation, right? And you could say, you know, maybe you flip through the pamphlet, you flip through the book, and you hope that they come to that and say, oh yeah, we've got 15 cats. We realize our house smells like a zoo, right? Good. I'm glad I didn't have to bring that to your attention. Now, what can we do to help your house smell like you actually want to sell it, right? So smell being one of those tougher things to do, but very, very important to make sure that you're addressing that sense when you're walking through, so that when the buyers walk through, they don't have to experience what you're experiencing. Right now, some smells are neutral, right? They don't necessarily add or subtract. Some smells you think are helping. This is a true story. This literally just happened to me. Literally just happened to me on smell. Okay, and I know I'm digressing here, and I apologize, but smell is really important. Okay, I had a listing. It's actually pending right now. And the first time I went in to go see it, I looked at it, looked great, awesome, couple things to do. One thing I noticed was there was a smell. And I said, but, okay, I love Glade plugins with Febreze and the Gain scent, right? That's very specific. If you've ever spoken to me about a smell, I will tell you, to sell a home, right, Glade plugin with Febreze. The Febreze pulls the scent out of the air, and the Glade scent. He said, okay, great, I'll get on that. I went over there about 2 days later, and there must have been 12 of these things. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. Every single room, some rooms had 2 in there. The living room, I think, had 3 because it was like the living dining room combo. There were so many, it gave me a headache, right? So there is such thing as too much of a good thing. If I think about it, next time I go over there, I unplugged all of them literally except for one, right? The scent must be subtle, right? Although I do like that smell. I love the smell of Gain. Like, the commercials are true. Like, I don't know, there's something about Gain detergent that just smells really, really good to me. And I think it's for a lot of people. But there's too much of a good thing. It's going to give you a headache, right? I literally felt like I might get like lung cancer just breathing in that much of whatever the heck was in the air. So, you know, good, bad, indifferent. Really, the best thing is that nobody notices the smell at all. Or if they do, it's just a slight hint of something. Be careful with plugins. Be careful with, you know, chemical things, because a lot of people are sensitive to that kind of stuff as well, right? So, you know, be careful with that. But back to what I need to be talking about here, the seller's guide is meant to be either given to the seller or gone through with the seller, so that you can, so that it's going to have these tough conversations for you up front. And sometimes you can reference back, you know, if you're having a tough pricing conversation, you can go back, right? They're going to see it in writing, right? So, you know, but why do we have to, are we really going to make more money, right? Like, and you bring it back here, yes, it's going to maximize your profit. And here's the reasons why. It's in writing. For some reason, when something is in print, when something's in writing, it's going to have more credibility. Now, keep in mind, fully customizable. These trainings are open to agents that are not in Miranda Executive Realty. If you want a copy of one of these, just share your email inside here. We're happy to send it to you. You can put your own branding, put your own logos. You can put whatever you want, inside there. These trainings are not meant necessarily for any specific, whatever. They're open to everybody. So, but this is a really good thing to bring on your listing appointments. If you can bring this with you in whatever way you want to do it, if you just want to print it, staple the corner and give it to the customer, that's fine too. It doesn't matter, but this is meant to help you to get in front of everything with the customer, right? So you've got that. You've got the home seller's guide. You've got the comprehensive listing checklist, right? Same thing, just different content, different information. This is for you, right? The comprehensive listing checklist is for you as the agent, right? And it kind of takes you through. I know this is kind of hard to see because we've got 3 pages on one screen, but you've got what? Preparation. So what do you need to do to prepare for the listing, right? What do you need to do? Check the MLS, confirm the appointment details, Will all decision makers be at the property? I'm guilty of having not asked that question, right? And that's a really important question, right? So make sure, right? And this is something that's good to review just kind of on a regular basis, right? The documents that you need. What documents do you need to do? Yeah, have you ever been preparing for a listing appointment? I know I have, and you feel like you're forgetting something. This document here or this checklist here is designed to ensure that you don't have that feeling. Not everything is necessary, right? Not everything is, it needs to be brought with, right? If you're selling a house, obviously you're not going to bring, condo information, right? But you'll know that. You just check the box and, you can move out, present, right? What do you need to do to prepare the property? Now, going back a step to the seller's checklist, this helps them to prepare to sell the property, right? That checklist or the seller's guide to selling a home is really tell them, review this and do the things. I have given these two home sellers, right, the seller's document, and they literally went through it and they hit every single item in there. Every single thing that's inside there, they hit it, right? So this is created to make your job easier, so that you don't have to sit there and tell them everything. You don't have to remember everything. I mean, right here, go back previously here. Right here, it's what's the smell, declutter, upgrades and repair, staging. I don't really believe in staging necessarily. I think it's really expensive. But I do believe in the presentation of a house, right? If you declutter it, you make the repairs, right? If they have a lot of furniture, they got to find some place for all the extra furniture, right? We could talk about the flow of the house and how people should just be able to walk through the house, right? But that's all inside here, right? So it makes it easier. Give me one second. It makes it easier to just kind of be proactive with that conversation. Same thing as the listing checklist. It's going to make sure that you don't forget something, right? So the presentation is really important, right? The presentation is really, really important. So you got to get the price right, and you got to get the presentation right, which means it's got to show well. The pictures have to look nice. These guides right here are here to ensure that you can have those conversations, that you can be doing those things, that the seller doesn't have to take copious notes and have to keep calling you and coming back to you. You can scroll through here, Irene, just to kind of give an idea of what's inside these, right? But there's a lot inside these, and it is all really just meant to help make your jobs easier. Right? What about marketing? Have you ever listed a house and forgot about the yard sign until the seller calls you up and says, by the way, were you going to put a sign in the yard? I have, more than once, and I hate to admit it. I really hate to admit it. I have forgotten that, but if I had gone off of a checklist, I wouldn't forget about it. Right? I mean, and honestly, that's like a perk for an agent who has a house to put a sign in the yard, right? Like, that's how you're going to get to drive-by leads, and we do get them. We do get them. We could do a whole other training just on yard signs, right, and how to set those up and make sure that you have, the right kind of format, the right colors, the right look to a yard sign. But, this is designed so that you don't miss a step, right? And again, this is something that I necessarily probably would not share with the customer, right? Like this is the thing that in the back office, right? You're going to have this, and you're going to review this, and you're going to have these conversations with the customer, and the customer is going to, they're going to respond, but they're going to understand that, yes, you do know what you're doing. Yeah, Carolina, 2 drive-by leads just today. Nice. Nice. Yard sign, very important. I I I have forgotten yard signs. I forgot one yard sign through the entire listing. And then a few days after we got under contract, the seller called me out on it. And yeah, like you don't want that. Do not want to have that conversation. Like these checklists are designed, right? Showings, right? So what are you doing for the showings? I mean, do you need to create a schedule? What do you need to to get these things right? Right. The scheduling is very important. If you got a rental with tenants inside there, you're going to have to work, you're going to have to work around them with, with those as well. So, and then when you get the property pending, the entire, these entire documents, these entire things are really meant to be a comprehensive guide for you as the agent to use in all of the different stages of the transaction. And these are only the seller ones. We'll be talking about the buyer ones very soon. But I would love to start seeing a high level of implementation of these documents, right? And they're all laid out very well, right? I mean, these are all laid out in a way, and they're going to just flow naturally for you, right? Like, what are you doing when you're evaluating an offer? Give this to your customer. Here's how we're going to evaluate it. Here's the areas that are going to be, when you do get an offer, these are the things that we're going to be looking at. Which ones of these are important to you, right? For most people, it's the price, but not for everybody. It's not about the money for everyone. Some people want convenience. Some people want, a longer closing. They'll take a little bit lower price if they can get the closing a little bit longer. A little bit lower price if they can get the closing really fast. Right. Some people will be willing to market and list their property at a lower price just to ensure that they get a quick sale. Right. So these are conversations. These are things that, really needs to happen with the seller. What's another important document that we have? Right. So we talked about the seller's guide, the comprehensive seller's guide. We talked about the listing checklists. What about your net sheet? Are you doing a net sheet for your sellers, right? Are you presenting the sellers with different options, or different, not options, but different outcomes based on some different prices? Or maybe they want to have a commission conversation, and you can show them on the net sheet how that commission is going to affect their net dollar, right? Their bottom dollar, right? So net sheet is very important because for most people, I will say price is the determining factor. So at the same time, I send over the comparable sales and I give them my price value evaluation, right? I'm sending over whatever other documents along with it, but I'm sending this and I'm giving them my 3 price scenarios, right? The high price, the low price, and right in the middle. And this one's nice because it's only off by about 10,000, but sometimes I'm going to give them a bigger range, right? I might be 25,000 in either direction, right? It depends. It depends. We know if you want a higher dollar and you're willing to sit on the market a little bit longer, then, we'll start at the higher end. If you need to sell your home quickly, and you want to sell it right near asking price, then we're going to start at the bottom. Right? If you want to just be average, then yes, that is the same as is this the same as in net proceeds? Net proceeds in the MLS. I don't think it's the same because net proceeds won't. I believe net proceeds is just minus seller concessions in the MLS. This subtracts everything. This is more like the HUD or the ALTA, the settlement statement, right? So, and make sure that you have the language at the bottom that this is only an estimate. We don't really know, how much all of this is actually, how this is all going to shake out, right? And they need to understand, look, these are estimates. I've never had somebody come back and complain that my estimate was too far off from what the reality of it is. Some of them are fixed numbers, right? Documentary stamps in Broward County are 7/1000ths, of a percent, right? So yeah, 70 cents for every $1,000. I think it's 70 cents. Yeah, 70 or $7. I don't know, whatever. I'm not an attorney. Told you I'm not an attorney, but the calculator works, right? But this is a really important thing, and I think it's better to give them 3: high, medium, and low. Oh yeah, there's a breakdown on the charges per county. So yeah, like it's right there, right? It's all right there. But to me, you should give them options. Like, don't paint your customers into a box, and certainly don't paint into a corner. Certainly don't paint yourself into a corner. Oh, I think we should sell your house at $530,000. Cool. What do you do when you list it at $530,000 and all of a sudden you ain't got no showings? Right? Well, this is what you told us to list it at. Well, what do you got to do? In a humble kind of way, you're going to have to be like, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I was wrong. 530 is actually probably too high. So now we need to do what? We need to lower the price. But if you gave them one of these, right, and your low end price, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, your low end price should be lower than what you think the low end price should be, right? So if you're like, okay, under no scenario, looking at these comparable sales, is this house going to sell for less than $500,000? That means you should put a low end price like $480 or $490, right? Because the market is constantly changing. The buyers that were out there a month ago that just closed on, the homes that you're using for your comparable sales are no longer in the market. They're no longer in the market. So that means that you're looking at a whole different set of buyers, right? Because we're talking about price when we're putting it on the market, but ultimately we're talking about value. And there's a difference, right? So this is why I don't call it a CMA or a comparative market analysis or whatever people call it. Call it my price value analysis, right? And it should actually be value price analysis because it starts by looking at the value. What is value? Value is historically what somebody was willing to pay for a certain item, right? You go and buy let's say a gold chain, and you're going to go buy, wherever you want to buy it. The value of the gold chain doesn't matter, right? Like, because what matters is where you buy it at. If you go to a pawn shop and you buy a gold chain, you're probably going to get that chain for a lower price per ounce or however they calculate it than you would if you go to like Kay's Jewelry, right? Because of the presentation, because of everything that they do that's different. People don't generally go to a pawn shop to buy jewelry. They go to the pawn shop to sell jewelry, but you can buy it there, right? People generally go to the jewelry store to buy jewelry, and they mark it up way higher than a pawn shop would mark it up, right? So that's the difference. The value, gold being at what, $4,700 an ounce, I think right now, or somewhere near $4,700 an ounce in today. That's the value of gold. But the jewelry store versus the pawn shop is going to give you a different price, right? So that's your difference between price and value. We're looking at value, and we're trying to get an estimate on the price. What is the price that's going to help you meet your needs? That's going to sell your house in record time, or that, okay, you got a few months to burn, so you want to work on this and make a little bit more money. We can go a little bit towards the higher end, right? This helps you have the conversation. But the one thing I would say, the one opinion that I would advise, your low end price, that $500,000, the lowest number on there, should be lower than even you think it should be. If you think 500, like, okay, looking at the comps, price per square foot, 500,000, that's probably where we're going to be. I would highly recommend put that at a lower price. That doesn't have to be the price, right? That does not have to be the price you land on, because you still got mid and you still got high. But your lowest number should help you in your argument if you have to ask for a price reduction. Perfect world, you never have to ask for a price reduction. Perfect world, the seller lists it at the price that you think they should list it at. We don't live in a perfect world. So you need to set this up in a way that's going to help make your job easier. What is your job? Your job is to sell the house. That's it. They're hiring you to sell the house. They're not hiring you to do open houses. They're not hiring you to put a sign in the yard. They're not hiring you to make social media posts and talk about how great the house is. They're hiring you to sell the house. All of those things work together to help you sell the house. But all of those things will only work if you get the price right. If you don't get the price right, if your price and your value are too far apart, you're going to make your job very difficult, and it's going to be very difficult for you to actually sell this property. So, just know that going into it. If it was me, or when I do these, as much as I can within reason, I try to have that lower price as low as possible. You got the other two as your buffer. We can start here. Hey, no problem. Let's start it out. Let's see where this goes. But at the end of the day, right, you got to do things to make your job easier. And that's what these documents, that's what these forms are all designed for, right? The seller's guide, get it in their heads, teach them how to do that, right? The listing checklist, right? Okay, and then there's one more. I guess we'll get to that one in a moment. But all right, seller, landlord, listing checklist, right? So these are things that they're already inside there. They're already inside, these documents, these forms that we've got. But you need this basic set of information. You need to make sure that you have certain things, your client and the property info. Really important to have that. Like, make sure that you have not only the kind of your primary contact. Usually, like if there's a spouse situation or it's an estate, there's going to be a primary contact, but you really need everybody's contact. If you are going to be signing the closing documents, I need your contact information. I understand you're not the one making the decisions, but I need your contact information. Is this everybody, right? What about mortgage details? Is it important to know how much they owe on the house? I think it's probably really important to know how much they actually owe on the house. Like, because that affects negotiations. If they can't go below a certain number because that's going to turn this sale into a short sale, then you need to know that up front. How much do you owe on your house, right? Then when you do your net sheet, you can say, oh crap, you're actually about $10,000 underwater. And that's happened to me on listing appointments before, where they had some liens on their house. They had some stuff that they had to pay off. They had like some Y green stuff and some other things. And it's like, unfortunately, you're about $12,000, in the negative. And they couldn't list it. Don't waste your time. I get it. You want a listing. You want to sell, right? You want to make that sale. That's how we get paid. That's our job. But while you're working on this impossible to sell listing, you're not out there working on getting easier to sell listings. In the next 90 days or 120 days, however long your listing agreement is, you're going to be toiling, trying to sell it, right? Sellers are yellers, and trying to justify everything that you're doing and trying to do all that stuff when it was really just a fruitless pursuit. It's better sometimes to walk away, and I'll tell them I'd rather let you down now than let you down later, right? I'd rather walk away from the listing now knowing that I'm not going to be able to sell it for the price that you want, than put it on the market, get your hopes up thinking that somehow because a licensed real estate agent put it in the MLS, that everyone's going to just believe this to be the gospel, and all of a sudden they're going to pay, grossly overpay for a property. It's just not the reality, right? That's not the reality. So we, not only do we need to be realistic with ourselves, right? But we need to be, or not only with our customers, but we need to be realistic with ourselves. And you need to guard your time, because nobody else will guard your time. The mortgage absolutely matters, right? And anything else, associations, right? Get the management company's information up front. Get the pet policy up front. Get the rental policy, or the rental policy, I guess, the rental rules, pet rules. Get those rules up front. right? Like those are really important questions to ask, right? The amenities, what do they have, right? What about how many times have you heard, how old's the roof? I don't know, I'll find out. Right? How old's the air conditioner? I don't know, I'll find out. Right? When were the windows put in? I don't know, I'll find out. How old's the water heater? Ask those questions, right? Those questions need to be asked, right? Property details you should know, bedrooms, bathrooms, you know, the single family or a townhouse, all of these things you should know by looking at it. But I would take note anyway, right? Because sometimes it's a legal 2-bedroom, but there is a 3rd bedroom, right? So probably a good thing to know that. And the MLS now has it was more prominent. It's always been there, but where we can put the measurements for the rooms in there. So, you know, maybe not a bad idea. Measure the rooms while you're there. iPhone has a really cool feature called Measure. You can just type in Measure. It's a little app. It's a utility in your phone. And you just point the little dots. It doesn't always work perfectly, but it'll give you an idea, right? Anything else? Anything else? What about, you know, extras? Do they have a water softener system? What about, you know, an irrigation system, right? Like, what is it? What is it, right? Well, this is why we have ideas, right? Yeah, HOA assessment's huge, right? Even the milestone, those inspections should largely be done, but are the repairs all done? I've been to a couple of buildings where the repairs are not done yet. I don't know why. The associations, like, I guess, do what the associations do, and that's just living like perpetual chaos. They can't seem to get their stuff together. You get a bunch of retired people that have never managed anything ever, and now all of a sudden they have some authority, but they don't know what to do with it. Right? Sorry, that's a whole other conversation. But think of ideas, right? Identify, discover, evaluate, anticipate, set. When you walk through the house, right, it's the first thing I do. Yeah, I got my briefcase in my hand, I got all my papers, and I got everything ready. Although I think it should be on an iPad now, personally, but I don't know, haven't made the switch, and I don't really sell that much real estate anymore. But I remember one time, and I told the story before, I walked through a house, and I can see a house very quickly. I know what I'm looking at, right? Okay, boom, saw this room, go to the next one, boom, saw this room, go to the next one, boom, saw this room. You've seen a million of them. You've seen a million houses, right? But you still got to give the dog and pony show. You got to give the dog and pony show, right? That's this. Identify the property's best features. Wow, I love that countertop. It's amazing. Look at that. You know, this is a beautiful countertop. Oh, and it's so smooth. Is this quartz? I like that a lot, right? They want to hear it, the things that they've done well, because you can't just walk through and be like, why'd you paint your house? Why'd you paint your walls freaking green, man? Didn't you know you were going to sell the house 3 years later? The green is freaking ugly, right? Why would you do that? Right? You can't walk through and do that. You got to give them the compliments as well. So, you know, start with, you know, the sandwich. Tell them something good, tell them something bad, tell them something good, right? Always begin and end with good, and just give them that little piece of, you know, feedback in the middle. Discover. So these are questions that I ask the sellers when I'm there. What did you like most about living here? They'll tell you things like intangibles. The neighbors are amazing. I love my neighbors. They go out of their way to help us. They mow the lawn for the lady next door because, you know, she can't this or that. Like, those are intangibles. The intangibles are what really kind of help you sometimes when, you know, you're struggling and you're on, you know, when you're showing a property and they're kind of on the fence, right? Those might be the thing that pushes them over, kind of that straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, right? Evaluate. This is where you're having the conversations with them. This is where you're talking about the clutter, maybe the smell, you know, the yellow or green walls that they have, right? What I tell everybody is this: you don't have to upgrade, you don't have to update, you don't have to do anything to the house, but it must meet 2 criteria. Every listing must meet 2 criteria. It must be clean and it must be well maintained. It could be all original, I don't care, but it must be clean and it must be well maintained. Well maintained doesn't mean that, well, for the past 10 years, they haven't maintained anything. It just means that now we got some work to do to make this house look like we've maintained it for the past 10 years, right? And a lot of that is going to start with cleaning the areas that people don't normally clean, right? Anticipate. What are people going to say? When I'm showing a house, if I'm getting the same feedback, or it's something that I know is going to be an issue, right? Big house, no pool, right? No balcony on a condo, overlooking the water, but you don't have a balcony. I'm going to hit that during the showing, right? One of the biggest pieces of feedback that I get on this property is that you've got an amazing view here that overlooks the water, but there's no balcony. But if you look here, you can see where these windows actually come out further because there would be a balcony here. So instead of having a balcony, you actually have more living space inside the house. Anticipate what's going to be turn that negative. How can you turn that negative into a positive? Yes, this huge house doesn't have a pool. No, there's no room for a pool. But literally the clubhouse with the giant pool is right across the street. You could just literally walk over there. 5 minutes, boom, you're in the pool. And now you've got, easy access to a pool that you don't have to clean and you don't have to maintain. If you had your own pool, you'd never go there and use their pool, but you're paying in your association fees to clean and maintain that one anyway, so you might as well use that one. Right? And again, set the expectation. That kind of goes back to the discover and evaluate part of it, where, you just want to figure out, okay, what are the highlights of this house? What are the areas that, for most of my listings, I would be there for the showings. The times that I wasn't, some homes, I don't know, if they're completely vacant, I wouldn't go. But if the owners are still living there, then I go. Right? It's just my rule. You can have your own rule. I think everybody's got to have rules. Again, different conversation for a different time. So, all right, moving on here, value added content. So this is your information on the house. Have you ever gone, and a lot of luxury agents do this, but they kind of give you like a house features sheet. So number one, you should probably have this for the appraisal. If you're like, oh, not sure how this appraisal is going to go. Well, in the very beginning of the listing, don't wait until the day before the appraisal to say, okay, new air conditioner, new roof, the floors were done here, right? Do it in the beginning and make sure the customer leaves with that. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to give documents to another agent's customer, be classy about it. To me, there is nothing tackier than giving documents to a customer with your contact information on it or with the listing agent's contact information. Personally, I think it's tacky. When other agents try to give my customers their business card, or they say, oh, here's an information sheet on the property, here you go, right? And it's got their information on it. First of all, I'm like, yeah, nice try, good luck, right? But second, it's just like, well, are you trying to like take my customer? Why is it important to you that my customer has your listing, that your contact information? That right there is kind of like a ding against the agent. And if you've been in this long enough, you know that the agent matters as much as any other detail in the transaction, because the right agent can smooth out all the problems, no problem. And the wrong agent will create problems for literally no reason at all. We've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it, right? I mean, I always, whenever I show a house, I'll tell the customers, like, look, I'm very easy to work with, right? I don't know how many homes you bought, but if you bought any amount of homes, you'll know that the agent on the other side is just as important as the home that you're buying, right? Because I don't need you to lose in order for my customer to win. In fact, for me, a good transaction is where you feel happy at closing and my customer feels happy at closing, when we can all sit in the same room laughing and joking and it's a happy occasion. That's when we know we did a good transaction, right? So, you can do what you want. There's no rule against it, I don't think. But if you're going to hand something to the customer, every time I do it, I tell them, I say, I'll look at the agent and say, I'm going to give this to your customer. Don't worry, there's none of my information's on there. Because honestly, if I had an effect on them, and I know it's happened to a few agents in this office, for sure it's happened to a few agents in this office, that they met somebody else's customer, didn't give them their information, but you're the listing agent, 123 Main Street, not hard to find, right? Like they know the address, they can find the listing agent, and they can call you. And they will if you've had an impact on that customer. Right? I've had customers that have bought homes. I had the listing, they bought homes, and when it came time to sell, they called me. Right? So, you know, I don't think those tactics. My favorite customers are the ones that say, you can give my agent your business card, I'm not going to take it. I just want to like kiss them, right? Even the men, I want to kiss them. That got recorded. That sounds bad. But you know what I'm saying? Like when a customer will not take the information from the tacky agent, it makes me so happy, right? Because they shouldn't have done it in the first place. And I would implore you, don't do it. It doesn't make you look good. It's not going to give anybody a higher likelihood that they're going to come over and decide that they want to, oh, well, this agent put their name on this piece of paper. I should hire them to be my agent. I don't think it works that way. Better to keep the other agent happy, right? To not overstep your boundaries, to look like an agent with boundaries, to have a good connection with both parties, to build trust with the other agent, and work on just getting an offer and selling your property. You get other customers with open houses. You get other customers with all of the other things that you do. We don't need somebody else's customers, right? And I said this earlier, right? I don't want to underpromise and overdeliver. I'd rather let you down now than let you down later, right? So don't overpromise and tell them that you do something that you don't do. I'm going to mail postcards to all of your neighbors, every single one of them. Well, then you better do it, right? Like you better do it. Like, don't make promises that you can't keep. Whatever you say you're going to do, you have to do it. Integrity, that's a part of integrity, is one of those characteristics that falls inside being a professional. If you're a professional, then you have integrity. And in fact, on a side note, my three: knowledge, integrity, and diligence. That's the key of a professional. And you'll see that on some of our branding: knowledge, integrity, and diligence. Those are the three things, in my opinion. Maybe there's more, but I feel like if there's more, they might fall into one of those three categories. What's going to make you a professional? Doing what you say you're going to do, or just don't say it. Just don't say it. Like, if historically you've never sent a postcard for any listing that you've ever had, then don't tell them that you're going to do it. If it's in your listing presentation, take it out. Right? If it's in there, say, sorry, no, I'm not gonna mail postcards out. I don't know why that's in there. I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have done that. Right? But don't overpromise. Don't overpromise. It's better to underpromise. Right? So what about when the listing goes active, right? Because we're talking about so much about getting this, ready to actually list. What do we do when we actually put the listing active? Number one, weekly updates. If you have a transaction coordinator, they're already being provided. And it should be hitting some of these key areas. You don't have to hit every single one every single time, but you should be hitting some of these key areas, right? Number of showings are huge. Feedback, they always want feedback. And don't rely, like, let's say you're using Showing Time, right? Don't rely on Showing Time's automated messages to get your feedback. Feel free to make a phone call or send a text message. Text messages are usually pretty easy. I usually call or reach out. Usually it's a text. I don't call. I usually text for feedback the next day. Not the same day, because I don't know how many more properties they're showing and, this, that, the other thing. Like, it's just, I don't feel like I'm going to get proper feedback. Are you bringing an offer or not? Right? If there's any interest, yeah, they're interested, but they're looking at, some other, whatever their situation is. I'm going to follow that one up with a call. How do I close this thing and get them to bring me an offer? Feedback is big, right? Let's say you're not getting the showings, right? They want to know how many showings. Well, we've only had one showing this week. You can offset some of that with your online activity. Usually like Zillow, I think Realtor, homes.com, that it'll tell you how many impressions have been made and how many views have been made, how many saves are in the system. It'll do that, right? And then at the end, you know, give them a plan. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. This feels good. It feels like we're on the right track, right? You know, we've had 4 showings this week. That's a good week. In my opinion, if you're getting like average 3 showings per week, you're probably on track to get an offer soon, right? 3+. That's an opinion. I have literally no science behind that. But just historically, it seems like if we're doing 3+ showings per week, sometime in the next couple of weeks or so, we're going to get an offer, right? Give or take. I don't know. Does anybody else have any science behind showings and when an offer comes in? I don't know. Maybe some of you like spreadsheets. I'd love to know if you have some science behind that. Maybe NAR has something behind it. I don't know. I don't, but 3+ showings per week feels like an offer's coming probably sometime in the next couple of weeks. So Jeanette, yeah.
I actually also base it on, besides, you know, your scientific method, I also base it on what Redfin and Zillow tells me, especially Redfin. When like right now, I have a townhouse for sale in Plantation. It's a nice updated unit. And they tell me, hey, you're, you know, this is pretty popular. It's getting seen by a lot of people. You know, please make sure you know, you kind of get yourself ready for an offer. So to me, that's a great indicator for my past listings. So that's my 2 cents, Joe.
Redfin, yeah, never actually saw that one, so that's good to know. I'll have to check out that feature in Redfin. Yeah, Noah, that's another good one. Yeah, the saves or the views on Zillow. So, you know, if you know, especially if there's like not a great week, right? Like these are things that are good to kind of keep the customer encouraged, right? Now, don't encourage them too much. Just word of caution. Because if you encourage them too much, if you do have to do a price decrease, they're going to, you know, well, Redfin says prepare for an offer. We're prepared for an offer, right? Like, you know, so just kind of, you know, cautiously advise them that, you know, looking online, here's what we're seeing, you know, Redfin looks, you know, feels like you're going to be getting, you know, an offer pretty soon. Now, keep in mind, this is just, you know, it's an online portal, so they don't really know, but this feels good, right? Let's go ahead and monitor and track this for the next week. I'll reach out to you next week and I'll give you, you know, an update on where we are as well. Hopefully, in the meantime, we'll get an offer and we can start negotiating, right? Because remember, it's all order of operations or moving yourself kind of through that progression of the sale. So, you know, remember we talk about, you know, writing and negotiating contracts, but then closing the deal. So yeah, you got the exclusive, but now you got to get the as is, right? So it's all about just getting yourself progressively through. When you get the exclusive listing, keep your eye on the prize, and everything that you do after that is to what? Is to get the as is. When you get the as is, your job after that is to what? To get that darn thing to closing. Right? You've got to get it to closing. So you can't get it to closing without what? Without accepting an offer or negotiating and then accepting an offer. You got to do it, right? We're not watching this video, but you should probably watch these about filling contracts out correctly. Far too many people do not fill contracts out correctly. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Like, imagine you're buying a house and your real estate agent didn't fill your contract out correctly and it ended up costing you money. Or it ended up having you, you know, overpay. Or you had to buy a house that you didn't want to buy because something wasn't filled out or monitored correctly. Right? Read the contract. The number one rule in anything that you do, read the contract. Look at this. Look at this. So all of your email accounts are upgraded with Gemini, which means that it will interpret whatever's on your screen if you allow it to. Why not do that? I do it, right? I do it. I will tell Gemini, okay, review this contract before I review it and tell me if there's any red flags and everything that I need to know about this contract. Point out all of the important details and all of the important dates. And it does it. Da, 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 da. Cool. Now I got it. It's in my head, but I still read it, right? Like, don't just trust AI. We've heard too many stories. So if you just trust AI, guess what's going to happen? AI is going to freaking screw you over and like make you look really dumb. There were some attorneys that gave an argument to a judge, and AI completely made up case law. Nothing in there was factual or relevant. It was just all made up stuff. Right? Don't just trust AI. AI is there as an assistant. It's a tool for you to make your job easier and more efficient, to make you more effective. But at the same time, you trust but verify. It's anytime you're dealing with the contract, anytime you're dealing with negotiation, think trust but verify. Whoever is on the other side of that, verify everything. Okay, Gemini just told me this. Now let me go into the contract and see. Right? It said that it's missing, I don't know, non-disclosure in there. I better get that added in. Right? It says whatever it says. Right? But just read your contract, and not just your as is or your exclusive. Read every contract all the time. If you're buying a car, read the contract, right? Number two, make sure that you've got all of your disclosures, your addenda. Just get all of that up front. I have a listing right now. Went under contract a week ago. We have literally, it was on the market for like 2 weeks. Since day one, tried to get the freaking condo docs. We still do not have the condo docs because the owner has to go in, reset a password, create this thing, do a thing, and for some reason the owner can't figure it out. So we're like dying right now because we're a week into a contract. You know who it is, Irene. And I'm dying. Maybe Irene's not dying. I'm dying. I die and I'm like, I'm dead. Because buyers get 7 days to inspect those. So every single day that goes by, we are extending their inspection by 7 days. Just like your property inspection, the buyer could back out for any reason inside there. They could say, I don't like the way that the articles of incorporation are written. Go ahead, Jeanette.
I actually got out of a contract because they waited too long to give us the condo docs, and it was almost at the point anyway that we found out that they only allow one parking space for the potential buyers, and it was, they hated it. So they're like, yeah, you know what, let's just get out. So I actually used it, backed up by an attorney, to let them know, hey, due to not receiving the condo docs on time, we're getting out of the contract.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game to play. That's why I'm literally dying, because it gives the buyer, like, even if the buyer can cancel for any reason, which means, oh, we saw on Zillow another property just came active that's actually better than yours. You didn't give me condo docs. I got 7 days to get out of this thing. Let me go ahead and just send a cancellation over and go buy this other property because I got options. Anna?
Yes, I actually agree with what Jeanette was saying, and you, Joe. Condo docs are very important. My buyers, they ended up, I'm not the realtor on that file. I was actually at the event and I missed my client's call. I was out of state. Anyhow, I'm doing financing on that property. But they were told that the roof was replaced. We came to know by just pursuing our own efforts to speak with the HOA that the roof is scheduled to be replaced next year. Not only there's current assessment, and there's an assessment that will be happening in lump sum. They won't even give you installments, lump sum to cover roof replacement in February of 2027. That gave us, I know the realtor was not good. He was like, oh, you're still getting a good deal, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, did you see condition of the unit? By the way, you're the one who said and translated from the listing agent that the roof was replaced. So we ended up getting 6,000 in seller's credit for that.
It hurts you. It hurts. Like it really does. Yeah. And that's why I'm like panicking literally every day.
It's a
Like,
benefit to buyers, but I'm the loan officer there.
yeah. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, every single morning screaming, like in a cold sweat. I just wake up screaming, and my wife looks over at me and she's like, "What's the matter?" She's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "I don't have the condo docs yet. Like, I don't have," and she's like, "So?" And I'm like, "Don't you know what that means? Don't you know what that means?" Like, it kills
You know
me.
what he means,
I'm
Joe.
like, I told the seller, I said, "You need to go to the management company, dude. Like, you got to go to the management, go to the management company." They don't listen. They don't listen. All right. Anyway, going to move on. All right.
Let them know that they're missing out. They're losing on
Oh,
it.
they know.
Most of the people don't even know what's going on with the HOA. So not only they're losing time, you're losing time. You're losing opportunities to sell to.
Yeah. Yeah. Believe me, they know. I told them, I'm like, dude, you're giving him 7 days over and over and over. Like, literally, we're going to get to a week within closing, and we could get to the closing table and just cancel. It's psychotic to me, but sometimes it's out of our. We looked on the MLS to see if we could find other condo docs. Like, yeah, we've tried things. So, and then the other thing is when you have different buildings, sometimes the documents are somewhat different. So, all right, I got to move on for the sake of time here. Holy cow, we are way behind. All right, so now you're pending, right? You have your effective contract. Key point, everybody. There's a couple of things in real estate that drive me crazy. Not really drive me crazy, but they're just, when you have a contract that's signed by everybody, it's called an effective contract. The executed contract comes when all of the terms inside that contract are executed on, meaning they're done, right? The inspection, all the contingencies, even the closing, right? So the closing day is when the contract actually executes, right? But it's an effective contract. Also, it's addenda, not addendums, just so you know. So track your transaction. If you don't want to track your transaction, I highly recommend get a transaction coordinator. Deadlines are very important. For example, condo docs, they have 7 days to review them. Get those out as fast as possible, right? Monitor your emails. Review the document. It's not that much work, y'all. Like, it is not that much work, but it needs to be done. You must keep up with your transaction. You must. Nobody else is going to do it for you except maybe your transaction coordinator. But if you don't have one, then you are the transaction coordinator, right? Just keep that in mind. Condo docs, we already talked about how important those are. Condo docs, very, very important. Get them early. Keep up with them. If there's another association meeting, grab those minutes, right? People are going to ask for them. Get the questions answered soon. Lien search, title issues. Those will probably come up. Shouldn't be a deal breaker, because the thing for the seller is, thanks, Noah. The thing for the seller is that no matter who they sell this to, if a lien becomes an issue, if a permit search, title, if there's an issue, they're going to have to clear it up no matter what. No matter what, right? Next one, contingency deadlines. So these are my favorite sometimes, because these contingency deadlines will work for you or they will work against you. In my case with the contract, with the condo docs, they're working against me right now. Right? Now, if the role was reversed, if I'm the buyer's agent, this is working for me, or it's working for my customer. Because at any time, we can decouple from this transaction and go on and do whatever we want. We're not obligated. We're not committed. We don't need to be, because we have 7 days to review. At any given time in those 7 days, we can just cancel. So sometimes if the contract feels a little bit, not sure, I don't know. I'm not always the great reminder for the other side. Hey, buddy, by the way, remember to send me over the articles of incorporation, right? Nobody cares about the articles of incorporation. I don't think. I've never heard something come up that we canceled because of the articles of incorporation, but for some reason you got to give them. right? But that could be your out, right? So, deadlines can work with you or against you. Use them strategically. Sometimes we use them strategically. We're not always a great reminder to tell somebody, hey, you got this coming up, or hey, you didn't do this, right? If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel, something, then use your leverage. Contingencies are leverage. One way or another, leverage, it's like interest, right? If I have a credit card, I'm paying 30% interest. That sucks for me. I hate it. If I'm the credit card company charging 30% interest, that's amazing for me, and I love it, right? And it's not even usury. Like, look at my interest, and I'm not going to jail. This is freaking amazing, right? Lenders need to be followed up with weekly, in my opinion. Some of them are great. Anna on here, great lender, probably doesn't need any follow-up ever. But we don't know that, right? But you don't know until you've worked with somebody 2 or 3 times to know. But make sure that loan is moving along, whether you're on the buyer side or the seller side. And there's a clause in the as-is contract that the buyer is giving permission to the lender to share information about that loan to the listing side. So the buyer's agent can never say, don't talk to the lender. You're not allowed to talk to the lender. They can't say that because the buyer already agreed that they could. So the buyer's agent unilaterally cannot override that, right? Keep in touch with the lender. It is your job as the buyer's agent and the listing agent. Yeah, there it is right there, line 106. At the time of this, it might be different because, the contracts always change, right? But you can fully informed about the mortgage loan application, loan processing, appraisal, and loan approval, including any property-related conditions of loan approval, right? Buyer, authorized buyers, mortgage broker, lender, and closing agents disclose such status and progress, at least preliminary, and finally, blah, 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 right? It's all there. Stay in touch with the lender. There's a reason it's in the contract, right? Somebody thought to put that in there. Good idea. I like it. Finally, the closing documents. Day before closing, look at the freaking settlement statement, man. If you don't know how to read one, pop into the lobby room. Let me and Irene help you, right? It's really simple once you figure it out. But what you'll need to learn is some of these numbers, they add up everything, and then they're going to have that lump sum number, and it's going to be in another area, right? Because it doesn't all just subtract, right? You got 2, maybe 3 pages. I don't know. Kind of depends on who does it or whatever. And then you got the 1 page with all the signatures. But review it. Make sure there's no junk fees on there. Make sure that your title company that you recommended to your buyer isn't overcharging your buyer, or that there's not some stupid stuff that or if you got a credit for your buyer, that your buyer's getting that credit, or whatever it is. But look at the settlement statement the day before closing. They didn't send it to you? Ask for it. Right? Very important, man. Very, very important to make sure that these things are right. Prorations. I used to literally do the math on the prorations to make sure that the prorations are correct. And by the way, the buyer, the prorations, it goes up until the day of closing. The buyer owns it on the day of closing for prorations. So the seller would be the day before closing. The buyer would be closing day and beyond. Right? Just in case you're wondering, on closing day, who has it? Buyer owns the home on the day of closing. So prorations work that the buyer is the owner on closing day. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I'm confusing myself. So finally, know when to reach out. I would tell you, look, I'm going to brag just for a second here. And I think anybody that's experienced this will agree. If you have a problem and you bring it to me or Irene right away when it's still small, there's a very high likelihood that we will figure out how to navigate that problem. We will figure it out, right? If it can be figured out. Not every problem is able to be navigated, but I feel like we have a very good track record when somebody engages us early. Hey, I know this is small right now, but I want to get in front of it. What do you think? When they do that, we have the experience, man. Like Irene is closing hundreds of transactions a year, right? Like I'm closing working on, I don't know, assisting or whatever, brokering hundreds of transactions a year. Like, we see the problems that, you know, any one agent has. We've seen it with any of our other agents already, or, you know, the hundreds of transactions that I've done before I was even a broker, right? Like, we've already seen it. And even if we haven't, right, an experience similar, we can bring that experience over. So, you know, it's a really big deal. It's a really, really big deal. When you have a small problem, bring it to us. If you bring it to us when it's huge, when the deal's about to fall apart because you've tried to navigate it for the last week and everything's just, the wheels are starting to fall off, it's a lot harder to hold it together then. But if you bring it to us in the beginning, no matter how small it seems, we don't make money unless you make money. We want you to make money, right? Because that's how we pay the bills. So bring it to us. Don't stay stuck. Like, this is literally the biggest thing out of this whole training. You got nothing else. Bring us your smallest of problems. Nobody will ever say that I called Joe and he was pissed off that I called him, right? Well, I'm sorry, one person will say that, but that's because they started off by screaming at me, right? Like, literally, I answered the phone and I was being screamed at, and I was like, whoa, hold on, right? Like, and I could not get this person to calm down, so I just yelled and then I hung up. That's the only person. If you don't call me screaming, we're good. Like, if it's just a problem, I promise we're good. I want to hear about it, right? We want to help. We want to help through this. So don't ever think that the problems are too small. Don't ever think that, like, it's a bother, or even that it's too late at night. Like, some people on this call, I've had conversations with them 9, 10 o'clock at night, right? And they'll tell you. If I can answer the phone, I will. If I can't, I'll call you back. Reach out right away, right? Literally reach out right away. All right. Last point, protect your customers, protect your email. So your company email has multi-factor authentication. You know, it's got extra security features on the back end of it to protect you. So if you're using your company email for correspondence in your real estate transactions, very low likelihood that anybody ever got into your email. Very low. It might be impossible, honestly, that somebody could access your email unless they maybe have your cell phone in their hand when they're trying to do it, right? But it's like a hacker over in another country is not going to be able to access your email. And the biggest trick out there is they'll hack an agent's email account. They'll just monitor and wait for a closing, and then they'll try to get a wire sent to them. Don't forward wiring information. That goes directly from the title to the customer. Do not forward, because you don't want to be the one. If that title company, we don't know about the title company's email, and if their email got hacked, or if they changed it just a little bit and it looks legit but it's not, and you forwarded that, guess what you just did, right? You just participated in a crime, right? I don't know if you'd go to jail because you probably got like culpable deniability or whatever, but do you really want to be the person that forwarded an email that cost your customer $50,000? Yeah. Thank you, Anna. In the very beginning, add it to the bottom of your email signature, right? But make sure that it, tell the customer, call the title company, make sure that, that it's a person that you know and that you recognize, because they should get to know the title company. There you go, right there. There's your email signature verbiage. Do you have it? I don't know. Probably should, because do you want to be the person that costs your customer tens of thousands of dollars? I don't. Right? So final thoughts: know it, own it, close it, right? Know the property, know the contract, know the deadlines, know the numbers, know what's going on. These checklists help you along the way. Use the checklists. I'm telling you, they're freaking amazing. You don't have to use one for every single transaction. If you have a listing checklist, then just have it and look at it and just do a brain scan, right? I think the seller's checklist is really good to give to sellers. Just print it out. Who cares? It doesn't have to be in color. Who cares? Here, take this. Do it, right? Makes your job easier. And then there's a final one that we didn't even go over. It's the property inspection checklist. Give it to your seller. Tell your seller, do a property inspection. Do you want to do one? Or review it. If you're not, especially if you're new in real estate, If you're new in real estate and you're not real like sure what issues you might see in a home, then just go to the home inspection checklist and review it before you go to a property. And it's gonna tell you what to look for. And sellers love it. You can, because now they know that you're looking at the house and you're paying attention. Do they need to do every item on this checklist? Heck no. Heck no, man. It would be psychotic to have them do every item on this checklist, right? But we did a training on preparing a house to sell, right? What did we tell you? We said you do cosmetic, not mechanical. Most inspections are mechanical, but we also said clean and well maintained, so your mechanical should be working, right? Your mechanics should function properly. They should do their job. The roof should do the roof's job, right? The roof should be roofing. The air conditioner should be air conditioning. The plumbing should be plumbing, right? And it's doing something else, then you got a problem, right? All right, agent resources, check it out. Highly recommend it. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's probably more than even I know is in agent resources. There's a lot in there. Go through there. We are trying to make it easier to access a lot of this stuff, but everything takes time. So, all right, call to action. Number 1, read your contracts. Number 2, own your transactions. Even if you have a transaction coordinator, know that you stand to lose the most if it falls apart. Don't be above reminding a TC what needs to be done, right? Proactive. Know when to reach out. And number 5 is very important because even I'm guilty of this. Don't forget your customers after closing. Set them up so that you have something to keep them in your sphere, because you worked way too hard to have one customer and get that one closing, not to retain them, right? So make sure you're retaining that customer and you're getting their referrals and you're getting their next real estate transaction, because most people don't go through life and just buy one house, right? They're going to buy multiple. So keep these people in keep in contact with your closing customers. And if you can get the other side's customer information, put them in your database too. Because once they're not that agent's customer anymore, they're fair game, right? I'm just saying don't steal them while they're trying to, but once the transaction is closed, more than likely that customer is going to be an orphan anyway. Someone better adopt them. Who better than you? If I get the buyer's information after closing, I'm putting them into my CRM, and I'm not kidding. Swear to you, I've gotten calls because I've emailed buyers, right? I've emailed them and I've gotten calls from them and now they're ready to sell, right? So I don't even think they knew that I wasn't their agent. It's pretty cool. So, keep in touch. Very, very, very important. So, all right, that's it. I am so sorry. We went so far over on time, and you know that I hate to go over on time. I apologize. I appreciate everybody that stuck with me through this. It means the world, really. Our next training, September 1st, is our Roundtable Mastermind. So bring your topics, bring your ideas. This is, for anybody who's, we've got a few new people in the room right now. Roundtable is where we talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? The training that we just did, the Ask the Broker, it's a prepared presentation. It's kind of more of your classroom style training where, we want to just give a lot of high level, change the way you're thinking, even kind of training. Roundtable is where everybody participates. And these are, quite honestly, probably the best trainings that we do, because now you're not getting knowledge just from myself or Irene. You're getting knowledge from everybody in the room, right? It's a virtual room, but that's okay, right? Anybody can participate. Bring your topics. If you got something you want to talk about, bring it. That's what we open with. What do you guys want to talk about? Because I'm going to tell you the dirty little secret. If nobody brings a topic, then I just talk again the entire time. So I'm sure
I'm sorry, do I need to make an appointment with Irene to fix my access to my email and all the platforms I'm supposed to work on? Because they kicked me out.
Nope, you don't need an appointment. You don't need a ticket. You don't need to do anything. You just need the link to the lobby. You pop in the lobby. Irene or myself or somebody's going to be in there, and we're going to stop what we're doing or finish what we're doing and say,
but
hey.
I'm completely out of the system. It says
But
it doesn't recognize my phone number, doesn't recognize my email. It cannot find it. I don't know what's going on.
that's fine. If you can't get into the lobby room, so one thing, the lobby room is linked to your email, right? So it's set up that anybody with the @mymxrealty.com email address, if you're in that account, you can just jump right into the lobby room. If you can't, then if you have the link, you can still ask permission to enter the room. If for some reason you can't do that, you have Irene's phone number, you have my phone number, so you can call and we'll get you in there. But more than likely, you're going to need to be on a screen because we're probably going to need to walk you through, right? Okay, now go here, now go there, like, but just pop in. There's no appointment, there's no ticket, there's no waiting. This is, remember,
I'm kicked out even from my email. So I'm going to see if Irene, I think I just got a message from her. She said she'll be able to work with me.
Yeah,
so I'll,
she will. Yeah. This is meet you where you're at. Whatever your problem is, you can't stay stuck, right? Like those things right there, that's literally what that room exists for, is so that, crap, I got this problem. Can somebody help me solve it? Now, if you need help like programming an iPhone, you're probably on your own, right? Like,
no, I'm on the screen. I'm on my laptop. Yeah, I just
I'm just saying, like, there's only so much that we can do. But if it's your email, we can definitely do it. No problem.
Okay, thanks.
And then after next week, after our roundtable, is going to be our next Ask the Broker. That one's going to be on the buyer side. So this week we did the Ask the Broker on sellers. Next week it's going to be on buyers and the documents, the checklist, and all those things that we need to do when we work with buyers. And then I don't know what this one is actually. Oh yeah, this is our in-person. I never saw this flyer here. So this is our in-person September. You can so tell what stuff is created by AI. It just looks so different. Like, and all AI created, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. All right, September 15th, 2026 at, where's that at? 710 Northwest 5th Avenue, Suite 10, I don't know where that is, but they're going to be doing a master class from contract to closing. So social media, mortgage strategies, and then building relationships, follow-up, things like that. So that is in person, no charge, no cost. You just go, invite your other real estate agent friends. Everybody's invited. We open these up to literally everybody. Doesn't matter who or what company they're with. They can come out as well. But mark your calendars because hopefully we can see you there September 15th. I think
Are we gonna get this flyer? I'm sorry. Are we gonna get this flyer on the group, on the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, we can share this in WhatsApp. Actually, yeah, it should be in. It should have been in WhatsApp by now. Heads will roll. Heads will roll. Whoever didn't put this in WhatsApp, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it'll be in there. So I have taken up your entire afternoon. I am so sorry, everybody. I don't do this. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me today. There's something wrong with me. I think I had too much coffee. But that's it. So thank you for everybody that's here. We had a great turnout. I really hope you all learned something. Do not stay stuck, guys. If you can't get into your email, if you can't get into Bullet Trail, if you can't get into back office, if you can't get access to anything, if you wake up and you're just not sure what the hell you're supposed to be doing right now, pop into the lobby room and we will help you out, right? Don't stay stuck. That's the key. If you're stuck, I don't know what to do, pop into the lobby room, right? Like if your kids are misbehaving and you don't know what to do with your kids, pop in the lobby room, man. We'll tell you how to beat them properly so that they start listening. Okay, I'm just kidding. We won't do that. But thank you all so much. I appreciate you all sticking through this with me. Hopefully we'll see you next week, or if not sooner.